Today, I'm going to talk to you guys about best practices for website design, specifically tailored for small business. I'm also going to touch upon two really important aspects of website development that all businesses, regardless of size, need to consider, and that is state laws regarding privacy and web cookies and ADA compliance. Small business owners must understand that your website is often the first interaction potential customers have with your brand, and therefore creating an effective website is crucial for you to drive traffic, increase conversions, and establish your online presence. So let's start by discussing some best practices. You have seen the term UX, that is user interface. Oh, go back one, Clay. There you go. Thank you. Keep your website design clean, uncluttered, and easy to navigate. If people have to figure out how to find something on your website, they're going to bounce. One of the mistakes I see people making all the time is they have their website designed for mobile in a desktop environment. And people go to the website, they can't find any navigation. They don't understand that the three little lines called the hamburger menu is what gets you the drop down for the full menu, and they leave the website. So be very conscious of your UX, both on your desktop as well as in your phone. Avoid excessive colors, fonts, or images. The longer it takes your website to load, the slower it loads, the less Google juice you're going to get with your SEO. So video that is inappropriately posted, large pictures that haven't been condensed, crazy fonts that don't load quickly are all going to overwhelm visitors and slow your load speed and become a problem for Google. Make sure that the layout is intuitive and the information is easily accessible. Don't make people hunt for stuff. Next slide. Thank you. With the increasing use of smartphones, if your website's not mobile friendly, you're shooting yourself in the foot. The design should adapt seamlessly across whatever screen size you're on, whether it's a phone, a tablet, a desktop, or a large projection screen. Make sure that everything resolves the right way. Was that a question? Okay.
I don't believe so.
Okay. Give people a good user experience. Delving a little bit back into the Google Juice commentary, Google ranks your website mobile first. That means that whatever's in your mobile experience is what Google is going to give you quality score on and rank where your site shows up in a search engine results page. So if people have to pinch and scroll and do all the things on the screen, you are going to have a lower quality score and you are going to hurt your overall, again, Google juice. Make sure that you include that hamburger menu in mobile so that people can easily open it up and that they don't have to scroll across to try and find the button that gets them to the page that they want to get to. Any questions so far?
I don't have any in the chat. If you do have questions, please drop them in the chat and I'll get to them as quickly as I can.
Perfect. There you go. So make sure that you have a clear and compelling call to action. What do you want people to do on your website? Book now, call now, request for quote, contact us. Whatever that action is, make sure it's on every page and in multiple places. In order to do that, before you build your website, clearly define the primary goals of your website. What do you want people to do? And then you guide these people. That's going to be a good question, Sarah, and I'll be with you in 1 second. Guide these people to do whatever you want them to do. Follow the 3 C's: clear, compelling, and concise. Assume people are stupid. I'm sorry, I don't mean to say that in an ugly way, but just assume they are, because if you can go ahead and get them to do that action, you have been direct, you have been clear, you've been compelling, you've been concise. Using buttons is a great way to draw the eye and indicate the next step. If you bury it in the text, people aren't going to find it. Sarah asked a question about mobile. Specifically, some companies have a mobile site and a desktop version. Back in the day, it was not uncommon for people to have their www.domainname.com and then create an m.domainname.com. That was fine 10 years ago, 8 years ago, I don't remember, but it is not fine now. You need to have a site that is mobile responsive, that will do whatever it needs to do in the environment that it needs to do it in. So again, the same website should look proper on a phone, proper on a desktop, proper on that big monitor in your conference room. Did that answer your question? Perfect.
Yes, she says.
Yep, I got it.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So let's go to next slide. And let's talk about SEO. And we're going to talk, I'm going to get a little geeky here. So if there are questions or confusion, please stop me. Search engine optimization is probably one of the most misrepresented things in digital right now. Basically, it is the activity that helps search engines like Google find and rank your website. There are 2 different kinds of optimization. There is on-page optimization and off-page optimization. On-page optimization is the content on your website. It used to be that you could put, if you were an HVAC contractor, you could put all the information about your services, HVAC, on one page. That is no longer the case. You need a page for heating. You need a page for ventilation. You need a page for air conditioning. And you need to write that content in such a way that Google recognizes that this is useful information about whatever the subject matter is. It includes doing your keyword research. I had a client that was an interior designer. She didn't want to be called that. She wanted to be called a space planner. Well, that's great, but there's like 30 searches per month for space planner, and there's 3,000 for interior designer. So pick your keywords correctly. Ensure that your content, and we are going to talk about content in a minute. So if there's questions there, hang on, because we'll get there. You need to have adequate content, but you don't want to have content that's so fluffy because somebody told you that you needed to hit a word count that you're just repeating the same thing over again. So the content needs to be thoughtful, it needs to make sense, and it needs to be helpful. The load speed we've talked about. If what you have on the page slows your page from loading, it's going to be a problem. It's all the flags and tags on the back of the website, the meta description, the meta titles, the page titles, the URLs that tell Google this page is about this, and that matches that content that's on the front end of the page. There is also something called off-page optimization. Oh, and there's a typo there. They say that you need to make sure that everything that you publish has expertise, authority, and trustworthiness. That's the T. You need to make sure that there's backlinks to your site. So Manta, HotFrog, BBB. Anytime you have a backlink from a highly reputable directory, like the Better Business Bureau, you're giving your website extra Google juice. And then things like your social media presence. Are you posting regularly and linking back to your website? Those are the things that some of the myriad of things that in building a website you need to take into consideration. There are free tools out there to help you with the on page. One of the ones that I use most frequently is a tool called Ubersuggest, Ubersuggest. You can plug in your keywords and it will give you other keyword phrases, and you can see which is the most popular, so that when you write your content, you're writing the most popular content. The page load speeds, there's Google Lighthouse will tell you how long it takes your page to load. Grammarly is another free tool that will rank your content to make sure that, number one, it's grammatically correct, there's no spelling errors, that it makes sense, but it can also check to see if you have any duplicate content. Duplicate content is a no-no. You cannot take a HVAC contractor in California and just change their text to Baltimore, Maryland. You will get penalized for that in Google. And Grammarly will check to see if you've got any duplicate content issues, which is going to go right into the next slide. Do links from advertising on social count towards your good backlinking? So it's funny because the guy that is in charge of Google rankings says it doesn't, but then we find that any links that are coming from a highly reputable source will positively impact your Google quality score. So I would say yes. The guy from Google says it doesn't. So, I'm not saying I'm right, but I have seen that people that advertise tend to rank organically higher after the ads come up. There was another question that I missed. It clicked off.
Yeah, it says, how do we find Google Lighthouse?
Just go to Google and Google. I'm going to say it again because it's not going to make sense. Go to Google and type in Google page load speed, and it will come up. So this one is going to generate, I think, a lot of questions, and we're going to talk about content strategy. Again, expertise, authority, and trustworthiness. Engaging and informative content is essential for establishing credibility and attracting visitors to your website. Keep your website regularly updated to showcase your expertise and provide valuable information to visitors. Don't just set it and forget it. If you develop your website and you push it out there and you don't do anything with it, you are probably not going to rank highly in a Google search, especially now that Google and all the other search engines have released their AI tools. Websites that have more content are going to index higher than websites without content. One of the best ways to do that is to incorporate a blog section where you can share relevant industry insights and news. And then you can go back and update those blogs. We found that clients who write a blog and then go back in and update a highly popular blog on their website and republish it, get a ton of traffic coming in from that blog. Two things to note. You can't just go in and republish it. Google recognizes it. You've got to make appreciable changes to it. And make sure that you're checking for broken links when you're updating those blog posts. One of the things I see most frequently when I run audits on websites is broken pages, because people have either broken links because people have taken pages down, or the links in their articles have been taken down by a third party. In AI, I'm sorry, it's early. Susan knows I don't get up very early, so this is hard. Everybody is talking about AI. Great tool to use but I do not recommend that you simply type in to Bard or to ChatGPT, write a page about medical malpractice law in Maryland, and then copy and paste it. There are several problems with that. So it's a great tool to spark thought on a subject, but there are several problems with simply cutting and pasting AI generated content. And Clay, I don't know if we have a slide on this. We do. Okay. So some of the problems with AI content are, number one, the ethical considerations. Generative AI has the potential to create fake content, manipulate information, or infringe on people's privacy. So you need to make sure you're taking measures to prevent the misuse of AI-generated outputs and adhere to all of the ethical guidelines. Make sure you edit what you pull out of AI. It's not best practice to just copy and paste it. The data quality is often sketchy. The accuracy and reliability of generative AI models depend on the quality and diversity of the training data. So if you have people that are putting in bad data, it is garbage in, garbage out. So when you're putting in your prompts, make sure that you are putting in clear prompts with lots of details so that you can pull from multiple sources to get the most accurate response and then edit it heavily. Be really careful about bias. Generative AI models can inadvertently inherit biases present in the training models. So if I have a bias and I type in a prompt that suggests a bias, it is going to remember that prompt and repeat that bias in its response to me. So make sure that you are very careful when you're curating your training data to minimize the bias and ensure fairness. The interpretability and transparency of AI is in question. Some models are highly complex and difficult to interpret. You'll type in a prompt and what you get back is completely different. In fact, I did a bit of a test with this on something we're going to talk about later, and it's a California law. And it responded to me as if I lived in California. It's important to understand the limitations and potential biases of the models used, and especially in critical decision-making. Medical is a big problem. People type in, my left toe hurts, and one response will say, go to the hospital immediately, and the other response will say, you're fine, put ice on it. So just be really, really careful with AI. And remember, there are legal and regulatory compliance issues that you need to be aware of. Make sure that anything that you use AI in complies with applicable state laws and regulations, such as data privacy, intellectual property, and consumer protection. I had a client reach out to me this week, and we talked about him needing a logo. And he was like, I'm just going to have my wife create it for me in AI. Okay, fine. Sent the logo to me. It was nearly identical to the Pittsburgh Steelers logo. So sure, AI is going to be able to develop a logo, but that also means it's pulling ideas from other logos that are out there, and you can get yourself sued for copyright or trademark infringement by just blindly using the content that AI comes up with. There are a lot of AI prompts you can find out on the internet. One of the ones that we use a lot is a tool called Chat AI, and they will prompt you with prompts. So you're not coming up with these prompts on your own. And these are ones that have already been vetted and people have answered, so you know that there's content developed. The other piece that I touched on earlier is duplicate content. If you type in, write a web page about medical malpractice laws in Maryland, there's only going to be so many responses. So if 20 people go and type that same prompt in and put that on their websites, they are now violating the duplicate content rules that Google has. And duplicate content is a big no-no, and you will be penalized. That Google quality score will go down and you will not show up. In fact, you could even get blacklisted because they consider it spam. So I know everybody is all excited about AI and think it is all the rage and, all that. But at the end of the day, there are a lot of things to take into consideration when using AI. Now, I perhaps have opened a big, big can of worms with AI. So let's take a minute to see, does anyone have any questions or comments about AI? Wow. Usually at this point, people are screaming at me.
They're probably totally overwhelmed.
All right. Well, we'll keep pushing on. We'll see how many more people their heads will hurt at the end of this. So you have all seen this pop up on a website and you don't understand what it is and you either reject it or you accept it. This is in response to some state laws that started in California, but ultimately started in the EU. EU law was called GDPR. In California, it's called the California Online Privacy Protection Act. If your website collects cookies, personal information, you must clearly disclose that in your privacy policy. Your privacy policy should outline the types of information collected, how it's used, and the third parties it may be shared with. Additionally, you must provide a method for users to opt out of cookie tracking if desired. Why does that matter to me in Maryland? I don't live in California. Well, if you do business with people in California, Virginia, Utah, Colorado, or the EU, you must legally employ a cookie disclosure pop-up, among other things, to ensure compliance with those state laws. In the EU, if I collect cookies from someone, do not disclose it, I can be sued. If I disclose it and sell their information or use their cookies in an ad campaign and they haven't given me approval to do that, I can be sued. If they tell me, take me off your list, and I don't do it, I can be sued. So while these things are a pain in the butt, and I hate them, I agree with you, it is really important that you have them. People are getting sued. This is going to become federal law. Do not think for 1 minute that it's not going to be federal law.
Rolanda's asking if you could repeat the states again.
Sure.
Also, she says, what if your site doesn't use cookies?
Okay, so California, Virginia, Utah, Colorado, and the entire European Union. And I don't even remember what countries are in there. That you're going to have to Google. We put it on every site we build because you might not use cookies now, but down the line you might. You don't know if you're going to add a piece of software to your website for advertising purposes that does use cookies. You don't know if your MailChimp is going to use cookies. So this one, I think it's safer to go ahead and put it on and not run the risk. For, another example, Maryland's already got this in legislature. It's going to pass. You build your website today. This passes Maryland legislature next year. You don't know it. You don't put it on your website and you get sued. So I look at this as a giant insurance policy to just be really, really careful and have it on there and let people accept, reject, whatever. Does that help? Okay, I'm gonna go with that. It does. We're ripping through this really quickly. So if people do have comments, questions, please do not hesitate to stop me for a conversation. We're getting to the end of what I wanted to talk to you about. So start thinking about questions I might be able to answer. ADA compliance, Americans with Disabilities Act, also applies to websites as they're considered places of public accommodation. Websites must be accessible to individuals with disabilities, ensuring they can navigate and interact with the content on a website effectively. Some best practices for ADA compliance include providing alt tags for images, caption videos, if you have video, offering keyboard navigation options like making the text larger or smaller, and ensuring the website is compatible with screen readers. I have never seen a website that is 100% ADA compliant, ever. To do so is usually in the 6 figures, and it is a constantly moving target. Things are changing. I have seen lawsuits on sites that are not ADA compliant increase by 400% in the past 3 years. The average lawsuit for ADA compliance is $20,000. This is going to be a shameless plug because I don't know how to do it any other way. We have an accessibility plugin that we use called Accessiby, $600 a year, something like that. It does not alter your site. Clay, if you can give me screen, I can show people what that looks like.
You got it. Here we go.
You know, while we're getting that up, I have a question. Do when you're in the back door of, you know, creating your website, are the tools for the ADA right there, or do you have to get your own, you know, tools to do this?
So there's 2 answers to that question. Your website could be hard coded to be ADA compliant. The cost associated with that is astronomical. My developers won't even do an ADA compliant site because they don't want to do it and then have the law change tomorrow and now they're not ADA compliant and I come back on them. Instead of doing that, we use this tool. And I will be full disclosure, I've talked to several of the site challenge groups, for example, Baltimore or Blind Industry Services of Maryland. They don't like this tool, but it is something better than nothing. And it is also going to, save you from a lawsuit. So do you see this little guy down here on my website?
Yes, we see it.
This tool changes your site on the browser level, which means who's ever using the website and using this tool is only changing things within their experience. The minute they go away, there's nothing being changed on your website. So I'll just give you an example. If you look at my website now, these are the colors, these are the pictures. If I need it to be seizure safe, it mutes everything. It makes all the colors less bright. It's going to stop things from flashing. If I'm vision impaired, everything gets larger, darker, bigger. This one's my favorite. If I have ADHD, it allows me to focus on that particular section of the website. And there are a number of other things that people can do with this within this tool. And as I said, it's an insurance policy. For $600, you're saving yourself the potential of a $20,000 website or $20,000 lawsuit. And I don't know how much your attorney costs, but I'd rather spend $600 up front than $2,500 to have to answer a lawsuit. or whatever that looks like. So in conclusion, as small business owners, designing an effective website is crucial for success in the digital world. By following best practices such as simplifying design, ensuring mobile responsiveness, implementing SEO techniques, and having a consistent content strategy, you can capture your attention of your target audience. And by complying with these federal laws, they're critical to maintaining legal compliance and ensuring equal access for all users. So before we jump back into questions, I found a list of 21 of the most common mistakes for website design. And I would encourage you to think about these as I'm reading them. Does your website make these mistakes? Number one is outdated look and feel. I have a government contractor client. The website looks like it was done in Word in 1985, and they want government contracts, but the government contractors aren't reaching out to them. Not leading with value first. What is your value? What do you offer that creates the need in your potential customer that they can't get from someone else? No lead magnet, contact form, book now, request for quote. You need those lead magnets that then go into number 4, which is no marketing funnel. Once I go into your website and I give you my email, what do you do with it? Are you sending me a series of emails welcoming me into your world, offering me discounts to buy your product or service, following up and putting you into a nurturing sequence? Your website is like a brick and mortar location. When people walk into your brick and mortar location, you say, how can I help you? And then you help them. Same thing with your website. How can I help you? And now I'm going to get you the information that you requested. No thank you page. A lot of these websites say, we've got your thank you. How about a thank you, Mr. Customer, and for filling out this page, you get a 10% discount, or some kind of white paper on whatever they're looking at. There's a lot of things that you can give them in a thank you page offer. Not displaying enough social proof. Are you showing your social media on your website? If people can't find it on your website, they don't know that you have it, and therefore they can't follow you. If you have one thing to spend money on in your social and website, any of your digital footprint, video is huge. And there are some inexpensive ways to do video. I don't care if you do it on your phone, as long as the audio is good. But right now, Google is giving quality score to video. Instagram is giving quality score to video. Facebook is one of the biggest repositories for native video. So spend some money on good video. Another mistake is terrible content or copywriting. If you let your intern write your copy and don't proofread it or put it through a proofreading software, your content is going to probably look like an intern wrote it, because they are an intern. They don't know your industry. You need to speak from your expertise, your authority, and your trustworthiness when you're developing content. Not displaying your authority. So one of the things that I love most about the BBB is that I'm able to put that logo on my website. That shows authority. I have passed a rigorous set of rules to become a member of BBB. So if you are a member of an association, a trade group, whatever, put that information on your website. Number 10, hard to find call to action. If people have to scroll to the bottom of your website to find your contact us button in the footer, we have a problem. Not easy to navigate. We talked about that. Don't make people scroll and pinch and do all the things. Have your primary navigation at the top so that people can see it. reinforce it in the middle of the page, and then reinforce it in the footer. No hierarchy of design elements. So that's just spaghetti on the page. That's where people have got video and they've got scrolling things and they have printed content. Make sure that when you're developing that website, it makes sense. It's not overwhelming. You don't have too many things happening in the middle. Just be thoughtful about that UX. Another problem is too much stock photography. People know what stock photography is. I mean, it is apparent that it is stock photography. There's one image in Getty Images of a woman in a dental practice, and she must be in 30 websites that I have seen over the course of my career. Original imagery makes a website jump off of a page. We just released a website recently for Harvey Construction. They built all the Atlas Group restaurants. They have original imagery. It is probably the prettiest website we've ever developed, and it's a construction company. Another mistake are image sliders. First of all, they're super old school. Second of all, they slow down your load speed, which impacts your organic SEO. Walk away from the image sliders. Get a gallery that is creative and interesting, but isn't going to slow you down. This one applies to most websites. A search bar. If people want to find information, they should just be able to type it into the top and go to that page. They shouldn't have to go looking for the page that they want. Too many parallax effects. That is when, for example, you're scrolling down a website and the navigation sticks with you and scrolls with you. But then I've also seen where you can hit the navigation and it jumps down the page, or you can hit the other arrow and it jumps back up the page. The more parallax effects you have, the slower your website is going to be, the lower your Google quality score is going to be, and it's also challenging to use on a mobile device. Too many leakage points. Leakage points are areas of a website or a landing page that cause viewers to leave before taking the desired action, such as clicking one of your call to action buttons that we talked about. Leakage points can cause a significant decrease in conversion rate. In e-com, a leakage point is an element that slows the sale. So, I try and go to look at a product and instead I get this pop-up of the image in 3D and I can't get to where I want to select the amount. This also used to be called bounce rate, in that people would come to a website and leave within 10 seconds. They've gotten away from bounce rate because so many people scroll. The bounce rate it's still there, but it's pretty much gone away. Number 18, no social interaction. Get those social channels on your website. Maybe put in the widget that allows people to see the most frequent posts or the most frequent reviews. Hard to find contact page. Don't make me look for what I need to do, and that is contact you. Custom 404 pages. It's going to happen. You're going to have broken pages on your website. You're going to take a page down and forget to do a redirect. You don't want the generic Google 404 error. You want something cute like, whoops, this page is missing an action, whatever you say. Make a custom 404 page so that if you do have a broken page, people know they're still on your website because it's still branded to your website. And the biggest mistake I personally think people can make is not designed for mobile. If you are still working in a desktop only or an M.dot environment, you need to redo your website. You can't keep doing what you're doing. So with that, I will turn it over to questions.
There's a couple here from Rolanda. First of all, I know the answer, but I'll let you answer this one. She wants to know if you review websites to help small business owners, ensuring that their websites are appealing.
Yes. Absolutely. And you can reach out to me via email, and I'm happy to do that as a courtesy.
And then she also wants to, she says that on her site, she has hyperlinks that send potential clients to landing pages for my trips. Could that possibly slow down my Google juice?
How I need, can we put her on, can we turn on her microphone so I can get a,
Uh, where are you?
you could get rid of the slideshow and just go back to all of us.
Hi,
There she
hi,
is.
Hi, Gina. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, great. I am a travel agency owner, and on my website, I have a page for my escorted trips, trips that I actually host.
Sure.
And so potential participants can tap on the trip that interests them. It takes them to a landing page where they get all the pertinent information with calls to action throughout. Uh, could that process potentially slow down my my uploading and things like that?
Not if the images are compressed properly and that primary landing page indicates that it's a trips page. If that page was, I don't know, Australia, but then there were 20 links to Australia, Italy, Montana, whatever, that would be problematic. But if the primary pillar page indicates that it's trips and then you've got links to the actual trips that go out, that's not going to hurt you. On a regular web page, like a content page where, say, it's an About Us page, I do not recommend any more than 2 to 3 links on content pages because Google can flag you for spammy links. So make sure that any intralinks that you use in your website are natural and are not contrived. You don't want the page going from this page to that page and that page back to that page. And then, you want to control your links to make sure that they're natural and that they make sense.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. What else we got, Susan?
So far, nothing. I am letting since Rolanda asked this earlier, I wanted everyone to know that we are sharing this information that Gina has presented. I'll be sending out an email with all the resources, and her contact info is in there. So should you want to reach out to Gina, maybe with some more help on your websites, she can talk to you about that. And I was stalling to see if anybody.
I see some friendlies in the room other than the BBB staff who I appreciate. I see my friend Amanda. Who else do I see in there? Paul. Thank you guys for Valerie. Thank you guys for coming. I appreciate it. There she is. Hi, Amanda.
So anybody have any questions on any of the content that Gina shared with us, which was wonderful.
Well, and I will also say that not only will I, put an eye on your website if you need me to, I am happy to offer a full website audit. This is a tool that we use for all of our clients. It's not subjective. It is your website. I'll run it through the auditor. I'll give you the audit tool report. You can either take it to your developer, or if you want to discuss our fixing it, be happy to do that.
Sir would like to know if you can, if maybe you could send to me the list of common mistakes, and I can share that when I share all the other resources that your slide deck and whatnot.
Yeah, I'll send you the whole presentation. Word of caution, this is in Gina handwriting. So, or not handwriting, but typing. So just take what you can from it because it may not be necessarily make a lot of sense to you.
Candace would like to look at the beautiful construction website that you completed and wants to know if you could mention again the name.
Yes, it's Harvey Construction, Harvey. And they've done all of the Atlas restaurants. And it shouldn't be as pretty as it is. It is a beautiful website. If you want it, go ahead.
I think that was maybe a mistake. I don't know. And Candace, yes, says yes, please to the audit. So, Candace, you should reach out directly to Gina and
email me, and I'll have the audit tool run.
And Rolanda says this was absolutely fantastic, very pertinent information. You'll hear from me today.
Yay!
So that's awesome. Thanks for joining us, Rolanda. Let's see. And Clay is posting about our upcoming websites, webinars that are coming up. So please be sure to visit our events page, and you can see all the upcoming webinars that are coming. Gina is a excellent presenter, and we have others that are just as compelling. So we're hoping that you all can join us for some future webinars as well.
Yeah, huge thank you, Gina. This was fantastic.
My pleasure. If anybody has any more questions, if it comes to them after the fact, let me know. Please know that we not only do website design, but we also do content creation. So if you're struggling with getting the right content, we do help clients with that all the time. We do social media, we do email marketing, we do all the things in the digital space. I don't do TV and radio, but I do everything else.
Awesome.
And anybody that comes in through the BBB always gets a complimentary consultation